Welcome to Breaking the Silence Mental Health Conversations with your hosts, Kim Olver and Dr. Richard Doss. Together, we'll break the silence and challenge the stigma by speaking now. So, take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's dive in. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome you guys to today's talk. Because the thought that came to mind was stuck points, and I was wondering, man, what stops people from achieving their goals? And we've all had some goals, and so I don't know about you, Kim, but I know I am definitely in the group of people that we're talking about.
Do you want to tell the audience who you are?
Okay, yeah, I can. Kim, you can jump in and make it happen. So, of course, I'm Dr. Richard Doss, clinical psychologist. I am Kim Olver's partner in this, and we're just gonna have a good time having conversations. Breaking the silence is about having conversations, particularly about mental health that people just don't have. And so today's talk isn't so much about how can I get taller, how can I become prettier, how can I make more money. It's really about, man, how can I do the things that I say I want to do? How can I reach the goals that I say I want to reach? Now, I'll start with this statement. I don't know if it's so much that people don't know where it is they want to go. Not so much that they don't know even how to get there. Here's the bigger question in my mind. What is it that's keeping me where I am?
Yeah.
And, one of the things I might say in starting this is that the place where I am, good or bad, I know this place.
Which makes it comfortable.
It's familiar.
Yeah.
So let's jump it off and have a conversation today about, man, how do we, so part of the question is how do you get to that place you say you want to be? How do you get to that person that you say you want to become? How do you reach that goal that you say you want to reach? Because for some reason, somehow, some way, we get stuck. Yeah. And I'll start with something simple. I say I want to make more money. Because I know that I'm stuck in the job where I am and there's no room for growth. And I've been saying that I want to make more money for 5 years, but I've never put in a job at someplace else. I never applied. And so, how do we get stuck where we are? And hopefully today you'll help me.
I know you talk about this also, so you'll have some. I mean, I certainly fall into that category sometimes. I'm pretty good at accomplishing the things that I want, but the area where I haven't been great is I would like to lose 30 pounds. And I lose 5, and then I gain 5, and then I lose 5, and then I gain 5, and it's like, I'm not really prioritizing it. That's one thing I can tell you. When you have a goal, you really need to put your energy and attention on that goal. And if you're not able to prioritize it because of whatever's going on in your life, or you're not prioritizing it, then that's something that could get in your way. And even before that, I'll say one other thing, and then I want to ask you what you think. But we also have to think about, is this goal really ours? Yeah, because so many times we'll say, I want blank, and it's because someone else thinks we should want that. I should have more money because then I could live more comfortably, or my kids could do more of what they want to do. But you don't really care about having more money. It's just for other people. So we don't tend to put a lot of our time, energy, and attention towards things that we don't really want, that somebody else wants us to want. I should want to go to school and get a degree, but maybe I don't. But I say I do because then it gets other people off my back. that kind of thing? Is it really your goal? Is it what you truly want, or does somebody else want that for you?
I think somebody on some magic erase board writes down the things that we should do, the things that we should become, and sometimes they prescribe how we should do it. I sit here as a clinical psychologist. I'm a full-grown man. And some days I ask myself, what is it that I want to be when I grow up? What is it that I want to be when I grow up? You know, so you think about going to high school, and the first thing that people tell you in high school is, wow, you got to go to college. And then you finish college, and then somebody says, you know, you got to go to grad school. You finish grad school, and somebody says, you know, you got to get a job, right? And so, you know, as you think about the things that you're passionate about, the gifts, you know, maybe that God has given you, the talents you may have, if it's not in line with the things that people said that you should do, or you're not the person that people think you should be. I'll give you an example. I like old cars. You know, the newest car that I have is 23 years old. That's the newest car that I own. The first thing that people will say is, you're a doctor. You should be driving, and fill in the blank, a Mercedes, a BMW, a Porsche. I drive a 2003 Chevy Suburban Z71, you know. And everything that I have other than that is older. Right? So yeah, so people tell you who they think you should be, what they think you should be, where you should be living. You know, Kim Olver, you know, you're very successful. You travel all over the country. If I were you, I would live over here.
Right. I've had people come into my house and say, oh, because it's not big. And I live by myself, and I don't like to clean. So a smaller place is easier to take care of. It's exactly what I want, but people think I should be in a bigger space. It doesn't matter to me. I'm exactly where I want to be.
So how do we figure out genuinely, authentically, who it is that we're supposed to be, who it is that I want to be? Because you know, at this point a tape recorder is going off, you know, because I've heard the voices for so many years. The tape is going off that I should be this, or I should. So how do I get to know myself well enough to say, you know, that's a good idea, the stuff that you're suggesting, but that's not who I am.
I'm laughing because when I was younger, I needed braces.
Okay.
And my mother decided that the best job in the world was an orthodontist because they made a lot of money. She knew because she was paying them a lot of money.
Okay.
And they didn't have crises or emergencies. And she just thought that would be the greatest thing. And I was fortunate, I think, because from the time I was in 5th grade, I knew I was going to be some kind of helping professional. The only language I had was psychiatrist. Okay. So I thought I would be a psychiatrist. Then my mother said, oh, if you're a psychiatrist, you have to go to medical school and you'll have to do an ER rotation, and will you be able to deal with all that blood? And I thought, nope, I won't. I don't want to be a psychiatrist. But I ended up being a counselor, which is exactly perfectly right for me. But if I had listened to my mother, I might have gone off as a orthodontist. And then my father had a friend who was a surveyor, and he knew I was good at calculus because I got good grades in school. Wow. And he said, oh, you're good at calculus, you need to be a surveyor. And I'm looking at these people doing survey work in all kinds of weather outside, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what I want to do. And my grandfather thought that I should be a missionary because I went to church and I read the Bible and I prayed. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really want to do that. So I knew in my heart of hearts what I wanted to do, but not everybody knows that. And I think the way that we find out is we experiment. And we do a lot of different things and we try different things. We can listen to other people. If it sounds, yeah, maybe I'll try that. I never heard of that. I didn't know there was even a job for that. There's an old adage, if you do what you love, people will come. You'll be able to make money at it. And I think there's something I'd like to add to that is if you do what you love and you're good at it, I think you have to perfect your craft. You can do what you love and not put any time, energy, and attention into getting better at it. I don't think people will necessarily come for that. I think people are looking for somebody who does what they love and does well at it. If you're doing a job just because somebody told you should and you really don't like your job, then I sincerely hope you have a lot of free time to pursue your other interests so that you can feed your soul. Because I think a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 10, whatever it might be, that you don't love is a lot of drudgery.
I can't tell you how many people that I know, how many physicians that I know. There is a cardiovascular surgeon in my family, and one of the things that he said is, man, you better love what you do when it comes to medicine, because wow, it will take a lot of your life.
Yeah.
I don't have time to be home. I don't have time to do the things that I enjoy. I have time to be a doctor. And so, wow, as we think about, and I have clients that fall into this trap. They think that success is tied to how much money they have or how much money they can make. And so one of the things that I try to teach is, man, I hope whatever it is that you're doing, wherever it is you're trying to go, that the ultimate goal is not just having some money. There's more to life than just how much money you have in the bank. I think it's important what kind of relationships you have. As I work with older Vietnam vets, the thing that I always talk about is, man, you got to have something that you're passionate about, something that you get excited about, something that you'll get up early for, something that you'll stay up late for, right? So money is one of, I think, for a lot of us, money is a big distractor, in as much, so we need money. So I don't want to mess you up. We need money, but man, if the only pursuit or the only goal that you have is just money, I think you're missing something. But something that you said earlier is a little shocking. So you say, yeah, I want to lose 30 pounds. Wow. Here is what I think is true about us. We are good at finding our flaws. We're good at finding our weaknesses. We're good at finding the things that are wrong with us. On some days, I can't do subject-verb agreement right. So I love somebody who can articulate. Or, as I look at my body and I say, man, where is this gut coming from? I need to do something about it. And I look at somebody who has nice, fit six-pack abs, and I wish that sometimes I was in somebody else's shoes so that I could look different, I could stand different, I could have a different posture. But watch this. It's something that I know about you. You are amazing, right? And so how often is it that when you wake up in the morning, you say to yourself, man, I'm amazing. I do some things exceptionally well. There are people who want to be in the place where I am. People wish they could be me. And sometimes I think I hear people saying to themselves, I wish I could be somebody else.
That's so true. And if you think about, someone just said this to me recently, and it's super true. Talk about how much did you weigh when you were in high school, right? Yeah. And I know what I weighed in high school. I weighed 118 pounds in high school. And
you were anorexic.
So. No, I weighed 118 pounds in high school and thought I was too fat. That's the thing that's so interesting about our body image and our size, especially women. Like when I weighed 118 pounds, I used to look in the mirror and find what was wrong with me. And just like you said, and I don't think there's anything special about you and me in that regard. I think that everybody on the planet knows how to negatively evaluate themselves. And learning to find the things that are amazing about each one of us is a lifelong journey. And it is something that will help us accomplish our goals. Because if we believe that we're amazing, then we can do more than if we believe we're a screw up and we're unworthy and we don't deserve the things that we want. And there was something else that you said that made me think this is another reason why we don't reach our goals. Because we're wishing for it. And we're not doing any more than wishing. I think of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Like, if I could just click my heels together and have the thing that I want, there's a lot of things I would have that I don't have now. But when we look at all of the work that goes into what we want, I work with people who write books. You know, because you wrote a book in my writers group. People, I meet many people want to write a book, and I think the statistic, at least the last time I looked, is that 1% of the population will actually write a book. And I think it's because it takes work and commitment and dedication and discipline. And we don't always want to invest that.
You know, I think a lot of times we don't believe that the thing that we say we want is something that's doable, something that's possible, something that we can actually have. I remember when I was working for the Department of Defense, one of my supervisors asked me this question. He said, Richard, and let me say, full disclosure, you know, so I had a wonderful title. I was the Suicide Prevention Program Manager for 13,000 soldiers in 26 states in Puerto Rico. And I had a government credit card, and every other week I was on a plane going somewhere. So, you know, I was living the life. But I was only making $60,000 a year, okay? So it wasn't a clinical psychologist position, but I already had a PhD. And so he asked me the question. He said, Richard, how much money do you want to make a year? And I thought for a moment, and I said, $100,000. And he was silent for a moment, and then he turned to me and asked, why didn't you say $600,000 a year or $700,000 a year? And my response to him was, I didn't say that because that's not realistic.
I just want to say, if you have any topics or areas that you would like Richard and I to focus on in future videos, just drop a comment here. Send us an email at the address that's on the screen.